We're moving at breakneck speeds to get these CBDC systems introduced, and we're seeing steps like the Fed Now system that's coming in July. I've already addressed this several times. I'm going to address it again right now because I continue to see people putting it out there that the Fed Now system is a CBDC that's coming to the US in July. Fed Now is not. I'm going to say it again. Fed Now is not a CBDC. Don't be fooled by that. Don't let people fool you about that. Fed Now, I'm going to say it a third time, is not a CBDC. It is not. Fed Now is an instant transfer system that is needed for CBDCs to work. It's not a CBDC itself. Now, that doesn't mean that the Fed won't introduce a CBDC as soon as this Fed Now thing comes online. But Fed Now itself is not that. Again, we really, really have to be careful that we are not sending out bad information. We really have to be careful about that. But Fed Now is a foundational piece. It is a stepping stone to introducing a CBDC in the United States. It's needed for that. That's that instant transfer system. So we're seeing those stepping stones going on. But the big one that was just announced at the IMF spring meetings was by the Digital Currency Monetary Authority, the DCMA, who announced the launch of an international CBDC. It's the Universal Monetary Unit, the UMU, or Unicoin. Hey, I didn't say unicorn that time. Unicoin. Unicoin is a digital money commodity that can be used in any settlement transaction, so any bank-to-bank transaction, but also functions as a CBDC to enforce banking regulations. So this thing is kind of like sitting on the fence between CBDC and an instant settlement processing system, a cross-border process. So it's kind of right in the middle there, which is to be expected. They're trying to bridge that gap. Banks will utilize the new currency by attaching SWIFT codes and bank accounts to a UMU digital wallet. So there's the digital wallet, digital ID. We knew it needed to be paired together in that way. So think, SWIFT transfers over digital currency technology, allowing cheaper and instant cross-border payments, bypassing the correspondent banking systems. So this is a system where it's bank-to-bank transfers cross-border, so anywhere in the country, and it will bypass the banking system, what they're deeming as out-of-date banking system itself, and it's on its own. If you were to picture it like a train, if you were to take this digital coin and set it in a train and then send it across into like the UK or something like that, it's bypassing the old train stop and it's just going to go straight on through. So that's how that's going to work. Any merchants and trading partners on the system can accept UMU payments, Unicoin payments, automatically priced in any national legal tender. So basically, this is a built-in exchange rate and will automatically convert to the correct settlement rate. So this isn't, okay, we got to send it to this mediary bank where they'll divvy it up and make sure that the payment that came in will then match the exchange rate of the payment that it's going to, and then they'll send it through. Now, what this is going to do is as soon as it hits the wallet, bang, it's already made that thing and it's on its way. So there's no middleman needed to get it done. So that's what was announced, and that's huge. It is, because you're looking at, this is something that, remember, Rothschild said in 2011 when he was talking about China, he was talking about how there's going to be an international currency coming about. Well, that's what this is. This is for all the banks to get involved with one currency system that's cross-border to transfer things back and forth utilizing one coin. That's how that's working. But the question is, and this is something that I've always wondered because we've seen stuff similar to this come about, nothing on this scale, but we've seen similar stuff come about where it's always about bank to bank. This is the wholesale coin. They're always talking about and announcing the wholesale coin. And we know that's important. The wholesale is needed So in case you don't know, I might be losing people here. CBDC, there's two versions of it. There's the wholesale, which is the bank-to-bank stuff, central bank to central bank coin. Then there's the retail version, which is the stuff we would get. The retail coin is the stuff that we would get that is like what you'd spend, like if you go to the store or you go shopping online or anything like that. It's basically what sits in your bank account. That's the retail stuff. They didn't mention anything about that on this announcement. They were just talking about cross-border bank-to-bank stuff. So I've been trying to figure out what is going on with the retail stuff. I continue to see more and more stuff about the wholesale. And maybe I was getting ahead of myself. I understand you need the wholesale stuff first. But where is the retail stuff? I found it. It was just announced 4 months ago. Nobody had a clue that it was coming. And this is from the Bank of International Settlements. Now, if you don't know, the Bank for International Settlements is basically the central bank for all other central banks. If you want to know why central banks all over the world continue to implement the same agenda and continue to follow the same script, it's because the BIZ, I call them the BIZ, Bank for International Settlements, is controlling them. They are the bank that sits atop all the other central banks. And so I've always been watching them. What is going on? Well, 4 months ago, they announced it. It's called Project Icebreaker. It's a long video. I was going to cut it up and stuff, but there's too much important stuff in this. Project Icebreaker. Check this out.
Communicating or sending large amounts of data around the world is cheap and easy. But sending money to another country is usually expensive and slow. The way money travels across the globe relies on many intermediaries, increasing the complexity, time, and cost of transactions. One of the main difficulties is that most payment systems are designed for domestic payments, not for international payments, and often do not communicate with similar systems in another country. The reasons for this vary, for example, due to differences in legislation and technical systems, and different working hours in various countries. The development of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and the underlying technologies that can be used could offer a solution. CBDCs used between consumers and merchants are known as Retail CBDCs. Retail CBDCs could offer advantages such as faster transactions, more competition in payments, lower risks, and safety in the form of central bank money. Countries around the world are researching and experimenting with retail CBDCs, with many pilots underway. The central banks of Israel, Norway and Sweden have joined forces with the BIS Innovation Hub Nordic Centre in Project Icebreaker, which aims to explore how retail CBDC systems can be linked together to enable efficient international payments. Project Icebreaker is exploring a specific model linking national retail CBDC systems together. The Icebreaker Hub routes payments and allows national CBDC systems to talk to each other, despite being based on different technologies. In this project, different distributed ledger technologies used by each country for their proof-of-concept CBDC systems were connected to the Icebreaker Hub. Let's see how this works. Say Alice in Stockholm wants to send money to Noah in Tel Aviv to pay for a camera she bought online. When she enters Noah's payment address and the amount into her mobile app, the Icebreaker Hub helps her find the best available exchange rate. This is calculated from the rates foreign exchange providers submit to the Icebreaker Hub. Alice's payment is then broken down into two payments, one in Swedish e-krona to a foreign exchange provider in Sweden, and another in Israeli digital shekels from the foreign exchange provider in Israel to Noah. These two payments are coordinated using a form of digital escrow known as a hash-time-locked contract, HTLC. The payment from Alice to the foreign exchange provider will only be released if the foreign exchange provider has paid Noah. If no foreign exchange provider can exchange Swedish e-krona for Israeli digital shekels, the Icebreaker Hub will find a bridge currency, for example Norwegian krona, that can be exchanged for both Swedish e-krona and Israeli digital shekels, and will use that to bridge the gap. Swedish e-krona are exchanged for Norwegian krona, which is in turn exchanged for Israeli digital shekels. The hub will always choose the payment path that is cheapest for the payer. The benefits of the model demonstrated in the project are: it enables cross-border interoperability, allowing systems with different technologies to talk to each other in a standardized way. It reduces settlement and counterparty risk by the use of coordinated payments in central bank money. It allows increased competition and choice for consumers by decoupling payers from specific foreign exchange providers, as well as through the use of bridge currencies. It helps reduce costs. It helps achieve increased cross-border reach. It is scalable, easily connecting the systems of many countries. It is fast. Transactions take just seconds to complete. And CBDC does not need to leave a national CBDC system. Project Icebreaker has demonstrated that central banks can implement different technologies for their national CBDC systems that meet their needs and enable cross-border payments with minimal requirements.
Well, okay. I understand some people might be confused by that. I get it. I wanted to show you that whole thing. I wanted to get it across so you guys have a grasp of what this thing is and how they explain it. I'll break it down very simply. There's a whole lot of stuff there. I'll break it down very simply. So we've got the IMF, who was just announcing this coin, the Unicoin, which it could be used for retail, but from what I have gathered so far, that's mainly for bank to bank. Well, this Icebreaker, because as we know, the Biz and the IMF work together, this Icebreaker is basically the same thing, but for retail. It's for us, and it's even cross-border as far as that goes. Now, the Icebreaker hub functions almost identical to SWIFT and would allow every retail CBDC in every country to run through the Biz Icebreaker hub, giving them absolute control over every transaction and wallet. So if you spend money utilizing this retail CBDC, which it'll be forced later, we know that, but if you spend money with this thing, they will have full control over it. They'll get payment history. They'll be able to enable it, disable it, take it away, choose what you can spend your money on. This is all stuff that they've talked about in their meetings. They're going to have full control over this. Now, so again, we're at this crossing point of, we've got two systems again. Like I said earlier, there always seems to be more and more of these different systems popping up. Which one is real? Which one's not? Which one's going to work? Which one are they not going to use? What is going on? Well, these things will work together perfectly. So with only Icebreaker, now hang with me here. They talked about this in the video. This is where everything comes together. With only Icebreaker, if currencies begin to fluctuate wildly, so they talked about how it's going to be from one, and then there will be a coin that will bridge to the other. So if something starts happening in currencies where one starts to go up and one starts to go down drastically, there's going to be no currency to bridge the gap between those. So say, as an example, when they pull the plug on the dollar, Icebreaker might not be able to find a bridge currency between the two. How do they solve that? How do they solve that? If Unicoin is the bridge coin, everything will run without a hitch, even with a total remodel of the global financial system. So if you want to send, say, like what they said, if Alice there in Sweden is trying to send payment over to Noah in Israel, but because the dollar is crashing and no bridge currency is willing to make that gap, how is it going to work? Unicoin is that bridge. These two systems would work perfectly in harmony no matter what happens to the economy. Unicoin can bridge the gap between those retail CBDCs. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the system that we've been waiting to see. We've seen where they've got all these bank-to-bank stuff, and then we see these countries where they're working on all these different retail CBDCs, but there's nothing to connect them. There's nothing to make them work together. The IMF Unicoin and Biz's Icebreaker system brings them together, both the wholesale bank-to-bank coins and the retail CBDC coins. That's what we've been waiting to see. That's what we were waiting for. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, there's your one world economy system. We don't know. Something else could come out after this. We've seen it in the past before where we've seen something come about and it's like, oh my word, there it is. And then something comes out later that fits the bill a little bit more. Now, could they have something in the future? Could these be transitioned into something else? Could they have something entirely new come about? They could. They could. I mean, we've seen it before. But as of right now, these are the only two systems that I have seen that, one, hit both bank-to-bank and retail CBDCs and work together to make it all one whole system. This is the first system that I've seen that does that. So as of right now, they've pretty much got something going that could, in fact, be the one world economy. The IMF Unicoin and Icebreaker from Biz.